Alright, what is happening, everyone? This is Lou Point back with another banger, another video right here, and today we're going to be going over my ultimate flak build. In my opinion, so far this is the best build you can do for DPS wise, and it works on anything, mobbing, bosses, anything you want. It works on just everything. Now, I was seeing a few videos before of different flak builds, and they were similar, but I've changed a few things up that they all miss that I've watched so far that are crucial to the build and make it so much better. So yeah, let's get right into it. We're gonna start with the Stalker skill tree because you want to have Fade Away, and you need Fade Away for this build to work. So first of all, equip that, and I'm just gonna go over the skills one by one, make it quick, and then show you some demonstrations in game of mobbing and some boss fights. So first off, we have Furious Attack, and this is a hunter skill. Keep that in mind, that's important. After shooting an enemy flacking to stack of Furious Attack, it pretty much just stacks up, increasing his handling and gun damage and everything like that. So it's just a nice damage booster. After that, we have the Fire Rate, which is overclocked. You need to go into overclocked. Fire Rate is one of the biggest and most crucial parts of this build. So yeah, get Fire Rate, get that going. Overclocked, pump all 5 skill points into that. Then we're going to go over to Eager to Impress. This is also important. It's a kill skill whenever Flak kills an enemy, his action skill cooldown time, I can't talk right now, is reduced. So pretty much you're just getting that action skill back quicker, and you'll see why that's important after I'm done explaining the build. After that, we want Turn Tail and Run. This is pretty much just a filler, but it also helps during boss fights and mobbing. When you're running around, you're regenerating health and getting damage reduction. More often than not, you're not going to be using the standing still version, right? Standing still in any boss fight or mobbing is just very hard without getting destroyed. So yeah, I recommend just getting this for that damage reduction. After that, you want Hidden Machine. This is pretty much when the enemy has no target or is attacking a different target, you deal increased damage. Now, you could switch this out. You definitely can. You can go into health, because for boss fights, this is not actually effective at all, pretty much. The boss is always targeting you. Usually whatever you're fighting is targeting you. With Flak, you have your pet thing, and your pet can taunt enemies and stuff, but that is down a different skill tree that we don't get into in this build, so that's really not going to be happening. And yeah, you can replace this with anything you really want. I would recommend, self-repairing system, just for that extra health bonus. After that, you want the Fast and Furious, and that's while above half health you get increased gun damage and movement speed. You're almost always going to be over half health, so this is a perfect skill to boost, and it's actually really good and really effective. After that, you want to skip over Rage and Recover and hit your capstone right away, and this is pretty much when you activate your action skill. You get 25% damage, and when you're at full health, you get 50% increased damage. That's crucial, that's really good, and yeah, I really recommend that. As for augments, this is the most important part of the build. You need Gorillas in the Mist, and this pretty much means that when, you see right here, Fade Away no longer ends after Flak attacks at the cost of critical hit damage, and Fade Away duration being reduced. So what this is pretty much saying is that after you hit those 3 crits with the original Fade Away, your Fade Away actually doesn't end, but because of that, you lose some critical hit damage on your next shots. And this really doesn't matter if you have a fast firing weapon. You're gonna out damage the original Fade Away anyway, so yeah, pump that and get that going. After that, you want Unblinking Eye. So this pretty much means after successive hits on a target, your critical damage stacks, and it can go all the way up to 75% extra critical hit damage per hit. This is also very important and very, very useful, because more often than not with this build, you're going to be hitting crits in a row, especially because when you have this active, every shot you take is going to be a crit hit, so you're going to get that stacking bonus every single time. That's beautiful. After that, we're just going to move into the hunter skill tree, and you're going to want leave no trace, which just means, you know, you're going to have a chance for ammo to go back in your gun after scoring a crit. Again, this build is based off critical hits. That's going to be very useful. One of the very important ones is Interplanetary Stalker, which is pretty much another stacking move or ability, where it stacks damage for every kill you get on an enemy. This can be useful for mobbing and stuff, but for bosses, you really want to look for those little tinks and stuff that spawn around the boss, and just pick them off for these bonuses for the hunter skills, and yeah, that'll really help you. Very important, head count. Probably the second most important thing in the skill tree. Whenever you score a critical hit, there's a chance that your action skill cooldown is reduced. Like I said again, you're going to be hitting crits and crits and crits, meaning your action skill is pretty much going to fill up really quick, and you're going to go right back in that loop. And the goal of this is almost like gunzerking in Borderlands 2. You want to just stay in that loop of constant critical hit damage, and yeah, it's just insane. Two Fang really helps with this. I'm sure a lot of you know what Two Fang is. It's a returning ability from Borderlands 2, and you just have a chance to fire an extra projectile per shot, which is really nice. After that, you want to go into big game, and this just means your hunter skills become much more effective and last longer. So that would be, you know, Interplanetary Stalker, and over here you would have a Furious Attack. Okay, so that's where those come into play, and this is a great ability for that. It really helps. Now, in the other builds, I've seen people put their last points into either lick the wounds or wounds. I don't know why I said wounds. Lick the wounds, and that's pretty much where your pet revives you. And then they also went into this, which is the most dangerous game. It's pretty much when you kill a badass enemy or stronger, you gain increased critical hit, gun damage, blah blah blah. The problem is, with a lot of bosses, you don't really want to waste your time trying to find a badass enemy. Some of the bosses do spawn them, but it's really not worth for just boss fights and mobbing in general. Instead, what you should do, and what I did, was go into the master skill tree, and you'll see right here, Persistence Hunter. This increases Flak's gun damage and action skill duration. I don't know why the other people haven't put these points into this ability, because you're getting that extra gun damage, but on top of that, 45% action skill duration. You're going to be staying in that OP state for almost double the time, which is just insane. And it does work. It actually does double the time, and it's just crazy. So yeah, that's pretty much my build. As for weapons I like to use with this build, Lyuda and the Flood are definitely at the top, along with the Boomerang's good with it. You mainly want Jacob's weapon. The Companion is absolutely insane. I'm actually going to equip that. One of the best you can get for this build. Yeah, those are the weapons you want. As for mods, I have this one on, which I just use it for that Two Fang, and you deal 35% more damage against enemies that are above 75% health. That's nice. I would like to find a different one here for Jacob's buffs at the bottom, but it's fine. As for my artifact, I have the Snowdrift Victory Rush. I use this because it grants 100% slide speed, and the cooldown is just for the big ball that comes out when you slide. It shoots a big ice ball and freezes enemies. That's what the cooldown for. There's actually no cooldown on the slide speed. You can just zip around the map super quick with this mod or artifact. As for grenades, I don't really use them, and I just have a regular turtle shield on for the other stuff. So yeah, let's get right into the boss fights. By the way, I would like to mention this is on Mayhem 3. This is Mayhem 3 boss fight, so the hardest mode in the game. And yeah, let's get right into it.